Hi everyone, in this section we're going to finish off by looking at Buenos Aires, beautiful air, which is the capital city of Argentina. One of the ironies is that Buenos Aires, the city, doesn't in fact sit inside Buenos Aires, the province, in the same way that Washington DC in America does not sit inside Washington state. Just a bit of small tidbit stuff you get here on Jason's Journeys. Of course, Buenos Aires, what do we think? We think tango, we're going to see some. We think Eva Peron and Don't Cry for Me Argentina. We're going to look at some of the history and the Casa Rosada that she made that famous speech from the balcony of. And in addition to that, we're going to check out the malls, the pedestrian walkways, and the beautiful Spanish architecture of Buenos Aires. The Obelisk statue, the widest highway on earth, and many, many other features, including the great subways where you can travel for 25 cents across the city. What a bargain. Anyway, let's get back to Buenos Aires and continue Jason's Journeys. I'm Jason Ross. Argentina is located in the southern part of South America. It's a country with a federation of 23 provinces with the autonomous city of Buenos Aires as its capital and largest city of Argentina and the second largest metropolitan area in South America after Sao Paulo that you saw a couple of weeks ago on Jason's Journeys. It contains a population of about 13 million people and the locals are called porteños or porteñas.
Behind me is the Obelisk, which is the symbol of the city. It's positioned, obviously because of independence, right in the heart of the city, but it's a 16-lane highway. So if we have a look around and check out the traffic here is chaos. 16 lanes, 8 this way, 8 that way. So when you come here, you're going to have to use an underpass or learn to play Frogger, one of the two. Anyway, let's check out the rest of the city of Buenos Aires. So Buenos Aires is punctuated by these large pedestrian malls. Half of the city is actually walkable. So we have the contrast of 16-lane highways there and gigantic pedestrian malls here. All kinds of shops, as you'll see. So let's check out and do a bit of shopping Buenos Aires style, shall we? Let's go.
Pronounced Florida Mall, it dates back to 1971 in its current form, although its beginnings actually go all the way back to the founding of Buenos Aires in 1580 when it was hewn as a primitive path uphill from the banks of the Rio de la Plata. Its first official name was San Jose, and the late 18th and 19th centuries the street was known as the Post in reference to what was located along it at the corner of Peru Street. It was later known as Empedrado, the cobbled street, and as you head along it, and later on we're going to see the areas of San Telmo, but it has beautiful cobblestone areas that mark out the territories of the various cross-sections as you go around. The Argentinian national anthem was first performed in Florida Street in 1813. One of the city's most prominent landmarks. As you walk around, there's all kinds of shopping centres, malls, upmarket, downtown, and all kinds of local artists as well as musicians play as you walk along its streets.
Okay, so here we are in the Plaza de Mayo. You can see the Obelisk all the way in the background behind me. This is a very famous place. We're going to look at the famous Casa Rosada where Eva Peron and her husband made those famous speeches on the balcony. But what's important about the Plaza de Mayo is this is where the ladies come every Tuesday to march for all the young people who disappeared during the military occupation of the 1980s. Over 1/3 of the people 18 to 24 disappeared in Argentina under military rule. So now every Tuesday the women march demanding justice for their children from 20 and 30 years ago who were abducted. But let's check out the rest of the square and see a bit more of the history of Buenos Aires and this particular part of the Plaza de Mayo. Let's go for a walk.
The Buenos Aires Metropolitan Cathedral is the main Catholic church in the city of Buenos Aires. It's located right in the city centre, as you can see, with a great view over the Plaza de Mayo. The cathedral was actually rebuilt several times since its humble origins in the 16th century. As a result, it's a mixture of different architectural styles, from 18th century naves and domes through to its 19th century neoclassical facade without the towers. Its origins are from all the way back to the 1580s, when Juan de Garay built it as part of a block facing the main square, and it was reserved from this point on for the cathedral that you see today. At the time of its foundation, the town depended on the diocese to get by, and it's part of the important heritage of the city of Buenos Aires from its foundation. As you walk out of the cathedral, you're back in the Plaza del Mayo, where the Buenos Aires Cabildo, the public building that Buenos Aires used to use as its seat of parliament during colonial times and government house, stands before you. The Plaza del Mayo has a number of famous buildings, with everything from the Bank of the Argentine Nation to the Secretariat of Intelligence, the Federal Administration of Public Revenue, but of course the most famous building is the Casa Rosada, the pink parliamentary house from which we all know the famous "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" speech.
Okay, so here we are in front of the famous Pink House, if we want to call it that in English, where Eva Peron made her famous speech in the 1940s. Don't cry for me, Argentina. We just came out of the Metropolitan Cathedral as well, which is where they have the burial of the original person who founded the country of Argentina, whose name is San Jose de Martin. So we got to see his burial site as well. So the Metropolitan Cathedral is beautiful, and as I say, the Casa Rosada, the pink house here, is where the balcony scene was most famously shown in the movie Evita with Madonna, which I hated, but famous in history from the 1940s. So a beautiful part of town with great architecture if you come to the Plaza de Mayo.
The Plaza de Mayo is the main square in the Montserrat barrio of Buenos Aires. Since being the scene of the 25th of May 1810 revolution that led to the independence of the country, the plaza has been a hub of political life as well as political protest in Argentina's history. On October 17, 1945, mass demonstrations from the trade unions forced the release of Juan Peron from prison. He later became president of Argentina, and the Peronist movement still exists to this day. The plaza was home to a famous bombing in 1955 during one of his political rallies, which killed 364 people. Don't go away, because after the break we go to the Caminito, the birthplace of tango, and watch a tango show in Argentina. I'll see you after the break, everyone.